Hey y'all. So I'm waiting here at Michael's. The child decided she was going to work two jobs this summer. She's going to keep working at Michael's. Yay, discount. And, help out the store when she can. Because we're still building. So I'm sitting out here waiting for her. But it's kind of funny though. Moving from the online store format to in-person store. I wish there was like a Facebook group and maybe there is, for occult store owners. In addition to just weird people, best practices for dealing with people who are different, and a lot of us are. We're on the fringes of society. Yeah, some of these people are just invasive, creepy, and just really not nice people. And that's why I made sure that I was initiated before I, came out here in these magical streets dealing with some of these people. People don't like everything that I have to say. Hell, my own kids don't even agree with me on a lot of things, magically and mundane. But, like I said, I wanted to create an environment, especially for underserved people of color, to come and get their occult on. I'm not going to change my principles about how, it's so funny because we didn't create the structures of race. We didn't create all of these anthropological definitions as far as what we do. All of those things were created by the dominant culture, the current dominant culture. We, we saw what was given this name, hoodoo, and then we saw the watering down and the diminishing of it. Now, the very interesting part of this and the appropriation is that this occurs not just within our practices, but it has permeated pretty much, I got a loud car, all of the occult, from entertainment, television, movies, media, and the like. All of the occult has been lumped together. I was talking to another couple, a white couple actually, from West Virginia. We were talking about Appalachian and granny magic, and how I really think mislabeling it as hoodoo is an insult. And each one of our magical practices from our many cultures have different titles, definitions, and there are definitely unique things in Appalachian folk magic, in granny magic, and there's a Dutch thing, magic. I'm not sure if they call that powwow, but that would be very interesting because that's a melding of something that I've recognized as Native American. So we, in this society, people, and I'm going to have Patty Whittington, incidentally. She's a pretty prominent witch in our community. She's also white. And she's going to be giving a course offered through the store about dealing with problematic ancestors. Because I most certainly understand why certain people want to venerate certain ancestors. That does not change when something is an ancestral practice. And so, there are ancestors that I have that I do not venerate. I don't really work with my European ancestry because I understand where that ancestry came from. While the person who is part of my European lineage is from Germany and was not a quote-unquote slave master himself. He was a plantation owner in the Reconstruction. He basically raped my great-grandmother to produce my grandfather and his brother. And, that's not something that I want to venerate. And I think that there are ways for all of us from all cultures, magically, and Rebecca talked about that on my post about how to deal with when you have problematic ancestors. I think that all of us who are good people, we also have good ancestors. And I do think that ancestor veneration in your magical practice, if it calls for it, is very important. And that's why I'm such a staunch defender of it in my practices. But we don't want to make any mistakes about it. I've been friends with the people in this community who have quality occult practice stores. My store is different. And I like that because it doesn't put me in competition with my other magical brothers and sisters who practice differently. Somebody made a complaint about a local store and said, well, they concentrate too much on Nordic and Druidism. The name of the store is The Magical Druid. They should be concentrating on their magical practices and still create a loving environment for all cultures. So, I hear more often than not that they're so grateful. And I hear this from people of all cultures, but most importantly, the Black culture in this community. They're happy we're here. They're happy we have the focus of ATRs and voodoo. Haitian voodoo is the religion of revolution. You gotta be about it if you are saying that you are a Haitian voodoo sant. You gotta be about the equal rights of all people. You gotta be about the survival of our culture. You also have to be about keeping its secrets. You can look at whatever you want to on the internet, okay? But let's talk about hoodoo in particular. It's never been an open system. Have we had clients that are from all walks of life? Yes, I've done spiritual work for every single different type of cultural definition. Never have I refused to help someone based on where they came from or who they are. I've told lots of Black people, no, I'm not going to do spiritual work for you. And that is because divination advised me not to. There wasn't an issue for where I need to be using my divinity, my spirits, my personal power. All skin folk ain't kinfolk either. We know this. Okay? So, that's not the issue either. And I don't really have the bandwidth or the fucks to give about people who don't understand history and rules of different practices. And I don't care what practice it is. I tell my students all the time, the doctrine of signatures goes across all magical practices. There are some fundamental things that will always make a store like mine able to service a variety of people. But when we're digging down to the nitty-gritty of a magical practice, I am always going to keep what's closed, allow what's open to be open, share the information that I have gained from my practice freely without censorship from anybody. Those things are racist. It's just history. We've got a lot of people walking into, if you talk to traditional witches about what the modern New Age Wicca movement has done to traditional witchcraft, you'll hear a lot of the same types of complaints. Because a lot of people want to come into systems, especially the Orisha systems, trying to claim deities and create ritual that have nothing to do with the practice itself. And I tell people this all the time, if you're dealing in a practice that has deities, okay, if you're calling on the names that practice gave to that deity, how you not gonna follow the rules of that practice as well? Black folks get real salty when you tell them that they can't just pick up a spirit and work with them and start giving them offerings and building altars without the supervision of an elder in that tradition. Folks get in their feelings all the time. And I don't care what color that person is. Even Proverbs tells you about heeding instruction. Whether you believe in the Old Testament or not, there's some valuable information that comes from that and some good advice. The Psalms, the Old Testament's not a Christian book. Has a variety of blessings and cursings. But, I stopped using any forms of Christianity in my work because the New Testament directly prohibits my practice. So it didn't seem like something that I wanted to do in mine. What somebody else does in their practice is their business. What I'm creating, what I have created, what my community has supported and built is a safe place for us to get honest information about the magical practices of African people and their descendants. And if through that I am able to help other people honestly and ethically and sell them products, that's great. But I'm not going to sell out. Money is not that important to me. It never has been. And for those of you who are on here, and there's a lot of y'all who go back years and years and years and years with me, y'all know I wasn't even trying to do all of this in the first place. But when spirits and your ancestors lead you to a calling, and that calling dictates what you share, who you train, who you teach, you'd be foolish not to follow it. It's like doing spell work without divination. And no, I just can't live with myself. If somebody came into my store and was like, I've been cursed, I've been hexed, here's $200, I want you to take this hex off of me. And if I do a divination that says this person's not hexed, this person probably could do with some spiritual work and some spiritual improvement. What kind of person would I be to be like, oh yes, you're hexed, let me have your money, I'll get that off of you? That's mean. That's cruel. And it doesn't serve people well. If you're a psychic and you bill yourself as such and you don't sell tangible goods, it is very difficult for you to get a credit card processor, okay? Because of so many chargebacks, so many people who have been taken advantage of by frauds. So in my commitment and being honest with people, I can't defraud them. I can't tell them a lie. I can't tell them that what they're doing is good, honest, or safe. I can't do that. I will not do that. And a lot of times, a lot of people get involved in magical practices. And at the least, they're ineffective because they're not doing them properly. Or at the very worst, it can really have negative ramifications on your life if you're not doing it properly. And nobody goes into, it's very interesting that this only happens in our traditions, or in traditions where people are marginalized, like the occult, where people feel like they can come in, rewrite things, jump right in, take advantage of, colonize, appropriate, and do things that are just like Anika says, unethical. I'm a priestess, okay? A mambo supuin. And it is my job, and directed as by mambo, to be honest, to tell the truth, to promote the healthy practice of our religions and magical practices. Yeah, if you want to come in and buy Goofer Dust and you don't want to talk to me about it, you buy what you buy. That's on you. But if somebody came into my store wanting to buy Goofer Dust for a minor infraction, I remember there's this conjurer who is not black and was seeking to put somebody in a coffin. And I told them how, for what was going on, how irresponsible that was to do in that situation. But if that person just came in and bought a coffin and didn't say nothing to me, if I ask somebody what their magical practice is and they say it's none of your business, it's on them. Well, anyways, my stomach is rumbling. And my baby just got in the car. So we're getting ready to go. Y'all have a great evening.